What if I told you that night after night of poor sleep could quietly steal years from your life? Not just from your body, but from your spirit. Across India, so many elders know this struggle too well. You lie down early, hoping for rest, but by 2 or 3 a.m., your eyes are still open. The fan hums, the lights are off, yet the mind refuses to settle, replaying thoughts of electricity bills, the next doctor's visit, your granddaughter's wedding preparations. These sleepless nights don't just bring morning fatigue. Over time, they chip away at memory, weaken the heart, and dull the peaceful joy that should define your golden years. But here's the hopeful part. Relief can come from the simplest changes. Today, Dr. Aman Arora, with 30 years of experience in both the US and India, will guide you through a gentle, science-backed method. One trusted by soldiers in tense battlefields, yogis in deep meditation, and wellness experts in Pune, Kochi, and Hyderabad. No sleeping pills, no expensive gadgets, just small, powerful adjustments that can help you drift into deep, natural sleep within minutes. Before we begin, I invite you to type in the comments, "I deserve peaceful sleep every night." Let this be your quiet promise to yourself, because tonight could be the turning point toward the rest your body has been longing for. As we age, sleepless nights often have hidden roots, from subtle changes in our body's chemistry to small daily habits that quietly steal our rest. Many elders in India, like Mr. Ramesh from Jaipur, often wonder why sleep slips further away with age. The truth is, it's rarely just one reason. It's a blend of changes inside the body and habits we barely notice. First, there are the natural physiological shifts that happen after the age of 55. Our bodies produce less melatonin, the hormone that signals it's time to sleep. Hormonal balance changes. Stress hormones may linger longer in the system, and emotional tension builds up more easily. Mr. Ramesh says that even small worries like whether the electricity bill was paid or if his grandson will do well in exams can keep his mind alert well past midnight. Then come the habits that seem harmless but quietly disrupt rest. Many elders scroll through their phones before bed, catching up on family messages or news headlines. The blue light from the screen tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime, delaying the release of melatonin. A strong cup of chai or coffee in the late evening, or even keeping a light on just in case, sends mixed signals to the brain about whether it should wind down or stay alert. The sleep environment also plays a bigger role than most realize. For Mrs. Anita in Pune, even the soft glow of a street lamp slipping through the curtains, the honking of late-night traffic, or the rhythmic creak of her ceiling fan can keep her from entering deep sleep. Temperature matters too. A room that's too warm or too cold forces the body to keep adjusting, breaking the natural sleep cycle. Over time, these factors do more than cause grogginess the next morning. Long-term sleep disruption increases the risk of heart disease, weakens memory, and speeds up physical and mental aging. It can leave you feeling not only tired, but also less joyful and more easily overwhelmed. When we understand these root causes, the inner changes, the hidden habits, and the environmental triggers, we can begin to address them one by one. And that's the first step toward reclaiming the deep, healing rest that every elder deserves. Now that we know what's been stealing our sleep, it's time to create the perfect setting and gentle habits that invite rest back into our nights. For Mr. Vivek in Chennai, bedtime used to feel like an endless waiting game. He would lie down at 10 p.m., turn off the lights, and pull the blanket over himself, but his mind refused to follow the body's lead. Some nights, he would glance at the clock and find it was already past 1 a.m., yet he was still wide awake, replaying the day's events and worrying about tomorrow's errands. "It felt as if sleep was a bus I kept missing," he once joked, and no matter how early I arrived at the stop, it never came on time. The turning point came when his daughter, who lives in Bangalore, sent him an article about how the sleeping environment and evening habits can either invite or chase away rest. Skeptical but willing to try, he decided to make changes, one step at a time. First, renovate the bedroom. Vivek replaced his light cotton curtains with thick, dark drapes like the ones in old family temples, which blocked out the harsh glare of streetlights and the occasional flash of passing scooters. He adjusted his ceiling fan so it no longer made its faint, rhythmic creak, a sound he had ignored for years but now realized was keeping his brain on alert. The temperature was another revelation. On his son's suggestion, he used a small table fan to circulate cool air, keeping the room between 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. "It reminded me of winters in Uti," he said, "when you naturally curl under a blanket and feel your body surrender to the night." On particularly bright nights, he wore a soft cotton eye mask which signaled to his mind, "It's truly bedtime." Next, turn off all the lights. Like many elders, Vivek had the habit of scrolling through his phone before bed, checking cricket scores, replying to his nephew's jokes on WhatsApp, or catching up on the news. But after learning that the blue light from screens tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime, he decided to set a digital sunset. 1 hour before bed, all devices went off. Instead, he would listen to gentle devotional music, read a few pages from his favorite poetry collection, or simply close his eyes and focus on the hum of the ceiling fan. Within a week, he noticed his eyelids growing heavy much earlier. Third, change your dinner menu. Previously, his evening meals were often heavy and late. A plate of pakoras, rich curries, and sometimes a hot cup of chai to settle the stomach. These choices left his digestive system working overtime, making it harder for his body to relax. Now, dinner is earlier, around 7 p.m. and lighter. A bowl of dal with rice, steamed vegetables, or a small serving of khichdi. He avoids caffeinated drinks and even festive sweets in the evening, knowing that sugar can keep the mind buzzing as much as tea or coffee. Fourth, take a warm bath. When his doctor suggested taking a warm bath 1-2 hours before bed, Vivek was doubtful. But the first time he tried it, he noticed something subtle yet powerful. As his body cooled afterward, a natural drowsiness set in. The warm water soothed his muscles, washed away the day's tension, and seemed to whisper to his brain, "It's time to rest." This became a favorite part of his evening. Finally, reset your body's biological clock. In the past, Vivek's bedtime varied wildly. Sometimes 10 p.m., sometimes midnight, depending on television shows, phone calls, or family visits. But now, he treats bedtime as sacred. Every night at the same hour, he turns off the lights and lays down. He also wakes up at the same time each morning, greeting the day with a warm cup of masala chai on his balcony. Over time, his body began to anticipate this rhythm, making sleep come more naturally. These changes didn't happen overnight. Vivek added them gradually, allowing each habit to settle before adding the next. But together, they transformed his nights. His bedroom became a sanctuary, his evenings a time of gentle unwinding, and his body a willing partner in the journey to deep rest. For Vivek, and for so many others, these adjustments aren't about luxury or strict rules. They're about sending clear, loving signals to the mind and body that rest is not something to be chased or fought for. It's something to be welcomed. And when the invitation is sincere, sleep arrives quietly, like an old friend who knows exactly when to knock. Once your room is calm, the lights are dim, and your body feels ready to rest, there's still one last hurdle: calming the mind. For many elders, this is the hardest part, because even in perfect silence, thoughts keep circling. That's where simple, time-tested breathing techniques can become your bridge into deep sleep. These methods aren't just old traditions. They are backed by science for their ability to lower stress hormones, slow the heartbeat, and relax the muscles. Tonight, we'll explore 3 of the most effective ones. From the gentle rhythm of Nadi Shodhana Pranayama, to the quiet focus of breath counting, to the powerful 4-7-8 technique, each designed to guide your mind away from the day's noise and into the peaceful stillness of night. For Mrs. Kavita in Lucknow, bedtime had slowly turned into the most frustrating part of her day. By 10 p.m., she would be in bed, lights out, curtains drawn, ceiling fan humming softly. Yet her mind remained wide awake, replaying events from the day and imagining tomorrow's tasks. Some nights she would check the clock and see it was already 2 a.m., her eyes still open. "It's like I'm stuck between being awake and asleep," she would say. "My body is tired, but my mind refuses to stop talking." Her sleeplessness wasn't for lack of trying. She had already fixed her bedroom environment, reduced noise, and kept the room cool. But there was still a restless energy inside her, an invisible knot in her chest that kept her alert. That was when her niece Meera, a yoga instructor in Rishikesh, introduced her to 3 simple breathing techniques designed to calm both the mind and body. 1. Alternate nostril breathing. Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, has been practiced for thousands of years in India to balance the mind and soothe the nervous system. Meera explained that this breathing technique doesn't just help spiritually. It physically reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, and encourages the brain to shift from alertness into relaxation. Each night, Mrs. Kavita would sit comfortably on her bed with her spine straight. She placed her right thumb gently on her right nostril and inhaled slowly through the left. Then she used her ring finger to close the left nostril, exhaling through the right. She repeated the process in reverse, inhaling through the right, exhaling through the left, completing 1 full cycle. At first, she felt a little awkward keeping track of which nostril to use, but within days the movement felt natural. After 8-10 cycles, she noticed her heartbeat slowing, her shoulders relaxing, and the buzzing in her head becoming quieter. "It's like switching off the endless news broadcast in my mind," she laughed. 2. Counting the breath. Counting the breath. Even with pranayama, there were nights when stray thoughts crept back in. On those nights, Mrs. Kavita used a technique she had learned years earlier from her family doctor in Delhi: breath counting. It was deceptively simple, but surprisingly powerful. She would lie on her back, close her eyes, and breathe naturally. On each exhale, she silently counted 1, 2, 3, up to 10. If her mind wandered, she would gently bring her focus back to 1 and start again. On particularly restless nights, she counted backward from 100 to 1, matching each slow exhale to the count. This rhythm created a steady, predictable pattern. something her mind could hold on to instead of chasing random worries. Often, she couldn't remember reaching zero. Somewhere in the middle, she would drift into sleep. Over time, this technique became a favorite because it required no effort, no sitting up, and no preparation. She could use it anywhere, even during short afternoon naps when her mind was too busy to rest. 3. 4-7-8 Breathing Technique. The Natural Tranquilizer. The third technique came from a talk by Dr. Aman Arora, a sleep health expert with 30 years of experience in both the US and India. He called it a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system because it mimics the body's breathing pattern during deep relaxation. The steps were simple but needed gentle practice. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds, and exhale softly through the mouth for 8 seconds, as if blowing out a candle in slow motion. In the beginning, holding her breath for 7 seconds felt challenging. Dr. Arora advised her to start with shorter holds and gradually extend the time. Within 2 weeks, Mrs. Kavita could complete the full pattern without strain. She found that after 3 or 4 cycles, her muscles loosened, her jaw unclenched, and a pleasant heaviness settled over her body. "It's like my mind finally understands. The day is over," she said. Instead of trying them all at once, Mrs. Kavita built a sequence. She started her night with Nadi Shodhana to clear tension, moved to breath counting to quiet her thoughts, and finished with 2 or 3 rounds of 4-7-8 breathing to sink fully into rest. Within a month, her sleepless nights became rare. She no longer stared at the ceiling until the early hours. Most nights, she was asleep within 20-30 minutes, sometimes even faster. Her mornings felt lighter. She woke up with energy, her mood brighter, and her patience renewed. Her family noticed she was more cheerful and engaged in conversations again. The most surprising change: her afternoon naps, which used to leave her groggy, now felt refreshing, because her body was finally getting deep, quality rest at night. Today, when friends complain about insomnia, Mrs. Kavita always shares her story. "Sleep doesn't come when you force it," she tells them. "It comes when you create space for it, and that starts with a single breath." These 3 breathing techniques require no special tools, no medication, and no cost. Only consistency and kindness toward oneself. For elders who feel sleep slipping away, they can be a gentle bridge back to the peaceful nights they remember from years past. Sometimes, even after you've relaxed your body and slowed your breath, the mind can still cling to the day, replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow, or wandering into old memories. That's when guided imagery and simple mind games can become powerful allies. By painting peaceful pictures in your imagination or gently distracting the brain with playful tasks, you shift its focus away from stress and into a softer, calmer rhythm. Whether it's picturing the quiet waves of Puri Beach, walking through a blooming garden in Pune, or drifting across the open fields of Bengal, these scenes can invite sleep as naturally as a lullaby. And for those nights when images alone aren't enough, light mental exercises like thinking of an animal or object for every letter from A to Z, or jumbling random, unrelated images in your mind, can gently break the cycle of overthinking, leaving the mind free to drift into rest. For Mr. Sanjay in Ahmedabad, falling asleep wasn't always about physical rest. It was about mental quiet. Even after he fixed his bedtime routine, adjusted the room temperature, and practiced breathing exercises, some nights his mind simply refused to slow down. "It's like my brain is still at the market," he laughed, bargaining with every thought that passes by. On those restless nights, he turned to something his cousin in Bhubaneswar had recommended: guided imagery and light mental games. These became the missing piece in his journey back to peaceful sleep. Guided imagery is like taking your mind on a short, gentle trip, not with your body, but with your imagination. The key is to create a mental scene so vivid that your brain begins to believe you're there, allowing it to release the tension it's holding. For Mr. Sanjay, the first image he often turned to was Puri Beach. He would close his eyes, imagine the wide stretch of golden sand under his feet, hear the rhythmic crash of the waves, and feel the soft sea breeze on his face. He could almost smell the salt in the air and hear the distant sound of a conch shell from the temple. With every detail he added, his mind drifted further from the noise of his day and closer to the lull of sleep. On other nights, he chose the garden in Pune where he once visited his childhood friend. He pictured rows of marigolds and roses, the earthy scent of soil after a light rain, and the playful chirping of sparrows. The mental act of walking along the garden paths, pausing to admire each bloom, helped him slow his mental pace and sink into comfort. Sometimes, his favorite image was a Bengal paddy field at sunrise. He would imagine the wide open space, endless green stretching to the horizon, the sound of distant cowbells and the soft rustle of the stalks in the breeze. In this scene, he felt small but safe. Like the world was big enough to hold all his worries, so he didn't have to. The secret, he discovered, was not to rush through the image, but to live inside it for a while. The more senses he involved, sight, sound, smell, touch, the faster his mind let go of the day. Some nights, no matter how peaceful the images, stray thoughts still tried to creep in. That's when Mr. Sanjay switched to what he called alphabet wandering. The rules were simple. Starting from A, he would think of an animal, fruit, or object for each letter. For example, A for apple, B for buffalo, C for candle, all the way to Z for zebra. There was no pressure to be fast or clever. The point was simply to keep the mind occupied with something easy and harmless. This simple focus replaced the mental chatter about bills, appointments, or family concerns. Sometimes, he made it a little playful for himself. He would choose a theme, like only fruits, only things found in a kitchen, or only places in India. "It's funny," he said. "I've traveled to Bihar many times, but only when I was trying to sleep did I remember its name starting with B." He noticed that by the time he reached letters like Q or X, his eyelids were already heavy, and finishing the alphabet became less important than simply letting go. The third technique was something his friend in Mumbai called image jumbling. It was especially useful for nights when his mind was stuck replaying a problem over and over, like an endless film loop. The process was simple. He would imagine a few random, unrelated things: a monkey eating a mango, an old bicycle leaning against a tree, a steaming cup of chai on a clay saucer. None of these images had to connect or make sense. In fact, the less logical they were, the better. By feeding his mind with images that had no storyline or meaning, he broke the brain's habit of over-analyzing. Within minutes, his thoughts felt less sharp, his body loosened, and the need to figure things out faded. "It's like tricking the brain into boredom," he chuckled. At first, Mr. Sanjay used these techniques only when he couldn't sleep, but soon they became part of his nightly ritual. He would begin with guided imagery, often the Puri beach or the Bengal fields, and if he noticed thoughts drifting back to daily concerns, he would slip into the AZ game or image jumbling. Over time, he realized these mental exercises were doing more than helping him sleep. they made his evenings calmer. Even before bedtime, he found himself less caught up in stress and more willing to slow down. The anticipation of visiting his mental destinations made the transition from day to night feel gentle instead of abrupt. His wife, noticing his improved mood in the mornings, decided to try them herself. Soon, they would compare their imaginary travels over breakfast. She had walked the gardens of Uti, while he had sat beside a river in Assam. It became a light-hearted way to start the day, replacing the old habit of waking up tired and grumpy. Why it works. Science supports what Mr. Sanjay experienced. Guided imagery helps the brain shift from the alert, problem-solving beta state to the calmer alpha and theta states, which are linked to relaxation and sleep. The AZ game and image jumbling both act as cognitive distractions, pulling the mind away from stress loops and into a low-effort, repetitive activity that naturally leads to drowsiness. In other words, these techniques don't fight with the mind. They gently redirect it. And for older adults who may find meditation challenging or sitting still uncomfortable, these methods are simple, adaptable, and can be done lying down in bed. Today, Mr. Sanjay sees these techniques as small gifts he gives himself each night. When I close my eyes now, he says, I don't just try to sleep. I go somewhere peaceful, and somehow, along the way, sleep finds me. For anyone struggling with restless nights, his advice is simple. Don't wrestle with your thoughts. Invite them to walk along the shore in Puri, rest in a garden in Pune, or wander the fields of Bengal. And if they refuse, play a little game with them until they grow tired too, because sometimes the easiest way to fall asleep is not to force it, but to imagine yourself already resting. For many elders, sleep often feels like a distant friend, someone you used to know well but who now visits less and less. Night after night, you may find yourself lying in bed, wishing for rest, only to watch the hours pass. But as we've journeyed through these simple, gentle methods, from creating the right sleeping environment to calming the breath, to painting peaceful images in the mind, one truth becomes clear. Deep, natural sleep doesn't need to be chased. It can be invited. Mr. Sanjay's story is not unique. Whether it was Mrs. Kavita in Lucknow, Mr. Vivek in Chennai, or countless others across India, the path to peaceful nights began with small, consistent steps. Adjusting the bedroom to be cool, dark and quiet, setting aside the phone before bedtime, eating light dinners, practicing Nadi Shodhana or 4-7-8 breathing, and gently guiding the mind with imagery or playful mental exercises. None of these require expensive equipment or drastic changes, but together they form a powerful routine that signals to both body and mind. It is time to rest. The real magic lies in consistency. The body's internal clock or circadian rhythm loves routine. By going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, you train your system to expect sleep at a certain hour. Over time, falling asleep becomes effortless. Not because you forced it, but because you've built a rhythm your body trusts. It's also important to remember that sleep is not just about closing your eyes. It is the foundation for healing, memory, and emotional balance. A good night's rest strengthens the heart, sharpens the mind, and lifts the spirit. Without it, even the smallest challenges can feel overwhelming. With it, life feels lighter, more manageable, and more joyful. If tonight you find yourself staring at the ceiling, try one of the techniques we've discussed. Begin with slow, alternate nostril breathing to release the day's tension. If thoughts creep back, Count your breaths or play the AZ game until your mind loses interest in its own chatter. And if you still feel awake, step into a peaceful place in your imagination. A beach in Puri, a garden in Pune, a field in Bengal. And let the sights, sounds, and sensations carry you toward sleep. Remember, these are not quick tricks, they are gentle habits. Like tending a garden, the results come with time, care, and patience. Some nights you may fall asleep in minutes, others may take longer, and that's okay. The goal is not to win at sleeping, but to create an environment inside and outside yourself where sleep feels safe to return. So tonight, when you lie down, see it not as a battle, but as a homecoming. Let the day's worries fade, one breath at a time. Wrap yourself in the quiet confidence that you are giving your body what it truly needs. And when sleep arrives, as it surely will, welcome it like an old friend, knowing it has been waiting for you all along. Because peaceful nights are not just a luxury for the young. They are a gift that belongs to every stage of life. And with kindness, patience, and a little daily practice, that gift can be yours again.